Hey, everybody. I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the word. And today, that word is grind. Grind. Now, you see that picture of it's actually, I think that's actually a runner that's just kind of bent over and, trying to grasping for or gasping for air, rather, just exhausted. And you ever feel like that? I mean, even without running, even without, maybe even without even doing exercise, it just seems like mentally, physically exhausted at the daily grind. Well, that's kind of the idea behind that word today, grind. That there are a lot of things that we go through, and some things we put on ourselves, and some things that God allows us to, and God puts on us. Now, remember, He said that His burden is light, but let's also remember that the burden that he gives us is daily to take up our cross, which is an instrument of death, right? That is killing those things that don't look like him, dying to our old way of life, right? Walking in the way that he would have us to. And so as we come to Abraham, now he finally has the promised son. And Genesis 22, as always, I encourage you to read the whole chapter. You see that the promised son is now being told, or being told to Abraham that he is to offer up this child. Now, whatever your picture is, whatever your the image is that comes to mind when you think about this journey. One, let's kind of throw out the old children's book pictures of Isaac, that just lays there and doesn't fight his dad. Let's just be honest. I'm not saying it one way or another, but let's be honest. I don't know that Isaac would have just laid there and let old dad, hey, trust me, this is going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. I don't know. There had to be some respect and faith in his dad as well, because remember, his dad's 100 years old, or plus, well, beyond 100 years old at this point. And so I think sometimes let's just make sure that we have a right picture. There, as a teenager, could have laid his life down himself, and that he was willing to be obedient to his father. But it's actually something that happens before that gets, I guess, gets my attention today, and I want it to get your attention today. There's a lot of things in this story, and I love the part in verse 5 that, as they're heading out, that he says, "The boy and I will go there, but yet we will return." He had the faith to know that even when he killed his son, sacrificed him to God, that God somehow was going to bring him back. He and you find this in other scriptures talking about this exact event. Now, it's the four verses before that I want to look at, and specifically verse 4 today. But Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 4. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and two of his young men with him, and Isaac his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. Today, I want you to think about the grind, the daily grind that Abraham had to go through before he ever even got to the mountain. See, I think sometimes maybe in our mind, because we read it so we read through scripture sometimes so quickly, that we say, okay, well, he told him to go offer up his son. He gets him, and they go, and it's like we just imagine him leaving right there and just walking up the mountain. And okay, so he went early, and man, we say yes, he went early in the morning because he was ready to be faithful, and he was eager to do the will of the Father. And even though it was something he didn't want to do, let's be honest, that would go against everything that he want and desired to do, but he trusted God. And so we think, okay, well, man, he just got up and he went and he got after it that morning. And man, by dinner time, they were back home. It took him 3 days to get there. He left early in the morning because he was eager to be faithful. But he also did the work of splitting the wood and getting everything prepared. And to me, it took him, he had 3 days to think about this, 3 days to agonize over this, 3 days to question God, 3 days to question himself, 3 days to question his faith. 3 days to want to tell his son what was going on, 3 days to want to tell the servants what was going on, 3 days to want to kind of wish he had told Sarah what was going on, because I seriously doubt she was going to let him leave had she known where they were going. 3 days, and I think about it, I mean, that's a short window of time, but you think about what he was being asked to do. And it wasn't that he just made a decision and went up the mountain. He made a decision to act in faith. And for 3 days, he had to walk in faith. And then it was at that moment that right after this, you see that he looks and God has showed him what mountain it is. And he says, leaves the servants behind us, as the boy and I will go ahead. And even as you read on, one of the most beautiful parts of scripture here, especially in this story, is that when Isaac begins to look around and say, well, wait a minute, we've got the wood, we've got the knife, we've got everything that we need, but where's the sacrifice? Abraham could have said, well, it's you, buddy, but he didn't. He said, the Lord will provide somehow, some way. I believe in those 3 days of journeying, those 3 days of praying, those 3 days of meditating on the words of God, those 3 days of grinding out his faith, if you want to look at it that way, just in that daily grind of walking in faith. He came to a place because God was putting him to the test, and he was going to pass this test. But it was that time that he was, I believe, that he was grinding and fighting with his faith to say, I'm going to believe that God is going to provide, so that when his son asked him, he simply said, the Lord will provide. He didn't stop. He went all the way through it. I mean, all the way to the point where he had lifted up the knife to kill his son. And God stopped him, told him, now I know you will not withhold your son. I've provided a ram. I have provided a sacrifice. And because of that, God blesses me even more. God continues to retell the covenant and to make him remember that, look, I'm testing you because I want to make sure that you understand the blessings I'm about to bestow upon you. I wonder today, and I just wonder today, how many blessings from God we're truly missing out on because we lack the faith in the daily grind. We lack faith in the daily moments, in the step by step of what God has told us to do, and then walking in it. Today, will you grind in your faith, for your faith? And when I say grind out your faith, I don't mean ruin it. I mean grind it out daily, step by step. Will you do that today? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.